Hey everybody, thanks for checking out my latest video. I did just upload a video yesterday, I believe, about this chess machine from the 17 and 1800s that toured the world and beat a lot of famous people and a lot of the world's masters. So check that out if you might want to check out an interesting story about the history of chess. But anyway, chess.com put up a new bot under the cats, and it's removed some of them. Mittens is still on there, the infamous Mittens, but this one's Megan with a 3, and she's 1250, and she just kind of looks like an angry girl. It says scaredy cat, angry cat, Mr. Grumper won't be bothering you anymore. And I said, well, I don't know what this is, but let me try to play her. And I beat her on the second time I played her. It was not a masterpiece game by any stretch of imagination. I'm like a 950 player, but probably will be 1,000, 1,200 before too long, just from a lot of studying and playing chess online. But anyway, after I played her, I was like, what is that Megan? I go, isn't there a movie? Because she kind of sounds like a robot when you play her, kind of like an evil robot. And I was like, well, wasn't there a movie about a female um, robot named Megan or a couple years ago that was an assassin? I looked that up. That actually turns out it was Morgan, this movie from 2016 with Kate Mara in it. That wasn't it. So then it turns out there is a movie. So I figured it was either a movie or a video game. But there is a movie called Megan with the 3 that's brand new in 2022, and it's apparently a little like a Chucky type thing, or Annabelle, and it's kind of a campy movie that's a hit. And this has the girl from Girls in it, so, and Get Out. So I think this is product placement basically for this movie. But anyway, so I played her. Second time I played her, I did beat her. Let me get this on the full. Okay, oops. So I open with the queen's pawn. I've been doing like the London system lately. I brought out the bishop first. Just interestingly enough, on my stats, apparently I'm better off when I open with the knight to f3 rather than the bishop to f4. But that could be because I've just been playing the London more lately. So anyway, then on her second move, she brought out this pawn to c5. And I find this pawn move and also this queen move to be the most annoying or frustrating parts about like a London type thing where you bring out this is how to deal with them. In this case, the computer is saying that the best move is take. She can't retake, or if they retake, it's a mistake because you take the queen and they can't castle. That's a big disadvantage. But they can go this, put you in check, you cover, and they get the pawn back, and they've got a queen there. Sort of exposed, but some people are good with those aggressive queens. So that's the best response, which is one I don't normally do. The second best one is actually this, the E3, which is keeping your triangle, your London type pawn triangle on the darks. Now, interestingly enough, or I don't know if this, some of you are more advanced than me, but if they come out straight out of the bat and play that, then actually, in that case, pushing the pawn is apparently the best book move. Then next would be building the triangle, and then I believe the third one is then, well, it's sort of a split. Yeah, no, then the third one is actually taking. But if they come out and just straight do, if they come out and straight do this, the StockFish is showing if you move there, you've already got one advantage in the game. So anyway, she came out in the real game. She came out and did this. And anyway, so what I used to do was what I was trying was this, but just from studying other games and whatnot, this tends to be a better move. So I did that, E3 versus C3. She brought out pawn, so then I brought the knight out, sort of part of the London. So she's just moving pawns here. She's not doing anything. Then brought the bishop out to f3. This is a big key part, the light bishop onto here. This is a big part of the London usually. It's just planting it there. And when your opponent castles on this side, if they do, this is very dangerous. She kept with the pawns. Now, I mean, it's showing me a big advantage already. But there's plenty of blunders and mistakes in this game. So then I completed my pawn triangle. I waited. I think I decided here because this square are big fighting battlegrounds in the London general. And because she has these pawns here, this square I can't really go for it, but this square I can. So I think I just said, well, I'll bring it here instead of here, and it connects to this. It connects to this, and it goes for that square versus there. Now, also when they bring this out here, that usually means they're not going to be bringing the queen right away as effectively, but still something to keep an eye on. And this queen over here is it's a big thing because you have to decide if you want to swap or how you want to cover it, or there's ways to trap it, but it's difficult. It can be a pain, and if you do it wrong on a lower level, like people 900 below type thing, they can lose pieces. Really, they can lose pawns and pieces. Anyway, so she's moved out pawns and 2 knights. I went ahead and castled on the king side. She brought out a pawn to threaten my bishop. I withdrew to here. In the London, again, this dark bishop, and a lot of this is more from playing bots. I haven't played that many live games lately, although I have been climbing. But this is from playing bots that are higher levels. When you bring out this bishop, anyway, in general, to f4, they attack it pretty quick, and usually withdrawing here is considered considered the best move. And if you do it before you castle and you retake with this, you'll have a rook on an open file there. If they attack it after you castle, then you're going to probably want to take that way, and then you've got an open file there for the rook, but a little less protection for the king. So she still only moved her bishops and pawns. Okay, so here the queen is going to either go here or here in general, and normally the opponent will be looking at castle on the king side, and if you line them up, it's extremely dangerous, like battery. Sometimes it'll end up going here, or if I'm not wanting to show my intentions right away. But here I just went and did it. So I'm already ahead 1.4, 1.5 just on the openings. Like, this is how much opening can make a difference. And a lot of people on the lower levels don't know. They don't play them as weird as this, but so she's bringing all her pawns out, and this is what they talk about, pawns being overextended, because look behind it, there's nothing. And I already know there's these lines of attack here. So like, let's say she just did that. Then if I take, that's a check. She takes there. I can take that, and that's a check already. I mean, type of thing. So anyway, she pushed this pawn, and they're telling me already, go ahead and do this exchange. That's how good it is. They're like, go ahead and do this first and force, then you can move the knight out of the way. But I went ahead and moved the knight out of the way to there. Not the optimal move, but then there's several like that. So when I move the knight here, if she doesn't retake, well, let me see here. She's already so exposed over here. If she does that, I take that. Then I can move on to that square if she doesn't do anything. Let's just say she does that. Then I'm on there, and I'm no, it's not covered. I'm sorry. Some of this comes up a little bit later. I'm sorry. So anyway, I went ahead and took back with the bishop. She brought a pawn. I brought up a pawn. She brought out her dark bishop. I went ahead and took this pawn, figuring I was going to force that, I guess, because otherwise that would have to move. And that would open up this more. This is already very open over here, as you can see on these. I mean, like, there's lots of places to attack because she's brought out her pawns so far. Anyway, she retook with the queen. So I brought the knight up. They were saying basically the knight to here or here, the knight to c4 or e4. I think we're good. Also, third choice was bringing this pawn to threaten, I guess. So I chose there. The whole point of this that I think I missed, I think I missed the whole key here. This move allows this, which is a fork on the queen, and that, although it can be retaken with that, but I have this protecting it. So like, move there, take. Okay, so move there is a check. It's going to retake with the bishop. I retake with my bishop, and I've got that, and she's gonna have to move that again. So and not be able to castle. So it's good advantage. Anyway, she took it with the pawn there, and they're saying go ahead and move in with the knight to do the fork. The other way to do it would be to take the bishop first, not quite as good, and then she could either, they're saying castle or move the rook. That's how bad her position is. Not even to retake, because when if I retake that, it's again the fork on the queen and the that, and now the queen would be gone. Anyway, but I missed it. Even though I saw this was a check, I somehow, it is what it is. So I just brought the pawn up to threaten to boot the queen, her queen, which brought the game back to even. She withdrew. I finally brought this pawn up to boot that. She moved that there, which is a blunder. She brought out the pawn to protect it, which is a blunder, because if take, again, this combination I have here, and then these two behind it, is brutal when her whole area is open. And I just, it is what it is. I was playing a bot, and I was being, I guess, a little too passive. So if once she did this, once I took, her best move at that point was, again, to castle into nothingness, or to bring this pawn up, or to bring the rook over. So taking there was another mistake, if she had. So anyway, I went ahead and took that. She brought that pawn forward. So here they're saying, go ahead and do this exchange, because when she brought this pawn, this left your bishop under attack, and now she's also attacking the knight. But if you take the bishop, then she has to retake it. Then you can move the knight out of the way somewhere here or whatever. And you're still, well, let me see. She retakes with that. Now, actually, the only good move there at that point was this withdrawing to here was fine. So let's just say you did that. But actually, the best move there was this. So there are various combinations, but the bottom line is, when she did this, I thought, well, I think I thought, well, I'm forked, or else I just missed this. I had a couple massive oversights in this one. So I moved the knight. I took the pawn. So she picked up my bishop that was hanging. I went in and took the next pawn. I'm still ahead here, by the way. So I've left she's got a bishop on me, and I've got a pawn on her, but because her position is so bad, if I find f6, this, or if I find c5, this, I'm still ahead, because her board structure is so bad and her development is so bad, and I've got all these dangers, and my king is back here protected. But I decided to take this way. I think I was just in that mode of gobbling up pawns, and I just kept missing this thing here. But so I took that way. Now I'm losing. She took with the bishop. I brought over the knight to threaten her bishop. She brought the queen over to protect the bishop, but it was also attacking my knight. And I think I overlooked that, because I think I had color blindness and thought that this was a white pawn, or just assumed in my head without, subconsciously, because this is an unusual setup to have here at this point in the game. I think all of this is a bit unusual, but I just immediately saw rook pin the bishop and the queen to the king. And I've been, looking at I've been sort of studying different rook moves lately, so I immediately just did that. Well, that left the rook hanging, so I left two pieces hanging. She took the rook, and I'm like, oh boy. Here I'm like, well, I'm probably not going to win this, but let me just go ahead and finish it out. So she's up two pieces. So I took back with the bishop. So she gobbled up my knight. So she's up two minor pieces on me. Not even a minor, I'm sorry, a rook and a knight right now. I'm -8. But I did have a way to recapture one of the pieces, which was putting her in check here. I'm I'm sorry, I didn't have a way to exactly capture, but I had this putting her in check. Now, if she had moved to any of these, she would have protected this bishop from being recaptured, but she didn't. She moved there, so that's a pretty big blunder because I recaptured. So I got one of the pieces back. Now, here she brought over the rook, and they were basically, on -8. They were saying bring up the queen to put her in check. Bring back the rook 1 because then it's protected, I guess. Bring up the bishop. Yeah. So I did bring the bishop back and put her in check. Should have done it with the queen, but okay. So when she did that, she allowed for the exchange of these bishops. I mean, it was already there, actually. I'm sorry, it was already there. But here I just went ahead and did it. I don't even remember my mindset on some of these, to be honest with you, but I just went ahead and did it. And when she moved to the back row, I might have not even noticed that this was like this, but I think I did. But I just said, well, I got to go for it. This is embarrassing, quite honestly. So she took that. So again, she's up a rook and a knight, and she's -8. Now her pawns are really, not good, and I do have some defenses, and these 3 are sort of connected, and then these 2. But anyway, she should have been able to win this. Move the bishop back. Guess looking at this. Whoops. Looking at this. She brought the knight up. I brought the knight threatening my queen. I brought the queen over on this file looking to get rid of this pawn and put her in check. She brought the queen up to protect that pawn, which left this pawn hanging. That's why she shouldn't move the knight in the first place. So that left the B7 pawn hanging. So I got a pawn back. She brought up the rook to protect it. I moved it all the way back where it's protected here by the G2 pawn from being taken. She moved the king over for some reason. Oh, with this file, because now I think I'm not 100% sure why she did that, actually. There she should have taken this pawn. I brought the queen to the open file, I guess. Brought the rook over and doubled up, which is very scary. So that left, then this pawn is hanging. So I grabbed that pawn. I've got all her pawns but 2, but I'm, 2 pieces down, flat out. She brought the rook over, which was a mistake. Basically, the rook to the open file, the queen to threaten the bishop that way, or the rook to threaten the bishop that way were good moves. This was a fairly big blunder. If I saw the right move, there was one that put it down to a -2, which was pinning the rook, and I did see that. So I did see that was a good. I mean, I saw that. So now I pinned the rook to the king. So it's a -2. She brought that over to threaten. Now here I've been swapping pieces when I was behind, and now it's like I could swap out for a rook. And that's what they're suggesting, but I think I said, well, I've already swapped too much, and I went ahead and protected with the pawn, which was not considered a good move because then she could regain the advantage, I believe, on me. Either way, that was a bad move. This put it back to even because even though she's got a knight, her structure is so bad, and her pawn, she only has one pawn, that even though I'm down a knight, I'm actually like basically even here. Anyway, I protected with the pawn instead, which is a mistake. She brought back that, which was another mistake. Here she should have done a variety of things, but she came down to, I guess, hang onto this diagonal and attack that. Oh, I'm sorry. She brought that back to help protect that. But that was a mistake. Because now if I saw it, this pawn was available, which was one of the points of this pin. But I didn't see that. Now I decided to do the exchange. A turn, there was no reason to not do it a turn before. Like I did it when she had covered it, not when it was uncovered. But anyway, so she took. So again, I'm losing. I'm down 2. brought out a pawn to boot her knight. So here they were suggesting bring this queen up. So when I moved the pawn up too, that was a mistake or an inaccuracy because capture, I think. Well, I'd have to see exactly, but so for me here, they wanted me to move my queen up one, move this pawn up one, move the king over. So I don't know if that was that obvious, but so I guess let me just see what the line here was. There were a couple different lines. I mean, the one somebody on our level would do would be to capture and then recapture. Oh, she wouldn't take that, I'm sorry, because the queen was protecting it. So then d3 was a good move, getting out of there, or any other move. But so I moved up. She didn't take it, so that was a blunder. Now, the move there was to go forward, which puts the game at like an even, attacking the knight and giving protection to that pawn. Oops, pushing the pawns further down the board towards her king as well. So I did catch that one. She withdrew the king, which was a blunder, hanging the knight. To save the knight, all she had to do was move it out of the way. So she blundered that. I got that back. So now we're even in pieces, and I'm winning the game. I've got a 3-pawn advantage. She blundered the knight. She brought the king over, exposing this a5 pawn. I saw that. Now, I've got this pawn here. And the obvious things over here were to check here, and I saw those. But I was thinking somehow that this pawn was going to get captured, and I just overthought it. I was thinking like, I wanted to move that pawn forward and check her and put it and keep it protected. But really, the best move was going to the corner check. That's what gave me the biggest advantage. But I overthought it, and I said, well, if I bundle these 2 pawns up, it's going to end up giving her no like escape squares, and they both can't be captured. So that was a blunder. So now she moved the queen down to there, which was a blunder. She needed to move the queen to this file or to this spot, a check on mine. So anyway, so she moved it there, which was a blunder. Now I've got mate and 5. If all I have to do is start checking her there, but I was transfixed with this double pawn thing. I couldn't, for some reason, I was missing how this was going to work, where I would keep the pawns alive. So she again blundered. She should have moved back to open file there, or moved there. Apparently, she moved there. So some of these aren't massive blunders. I think that anybody would see. There's some, the piece hanging ones are massive. So I kept up with my plan to do these pawns, and this was just not good. Again, they're saying just put the king in check, and I think it would start taking care of itself. But doing that made the game even again. So now they were again telling her to get on this file, because then I think she could start moving this pawn down, and I would have trouble defending and that with my king. The other option was to put my king in check, but she started moving her pawn down to queen it. So I finally put her in check. She gobbled that pawn, but that also crossfired me on that. Well, here I saw, okay, well, now I can check her here. She can't capture either of them. She moved the king out of the way. Here the move was queen to here, because that X-rays, and you're going to get her queen and pretty much win the game fairly easily. But I saw this as I was obsessed with getting this pawn to get 2 queens, and I knew it couldn't be captured there. But what that allowed was various shenanigans that would have kept the game going. I guess that queen to e3, queen to c1. But so she did see that, and she put me in check. I moved out of the way. She brought her pawn forward, which was another huge blunder. And again, these aren't piece blunders. These are just miscalculations of endgames type blunders, which do happen. Should have put me in check or gobbled this pawn and done an exchange. Because then I guess she would, if I did it that way, she would make it in time. She should have offered the exchange, I guess they're saying. Or come down here to protect. Let's see. Hold on, I'm sorry. She only had two good moves. One was putting me in check. The other was grabbing. So it's not quite as simple as it seems. And there I do not want to do the exchange because then her pawn is going to make it. There I would want to withdraw the queen back here. So anyway, she missed that one. She kept bringing the pawn because now she goes, well, it's only one square away. And I'm like, mine's one square away. But here I sat there and went, well, okay, I'm gonna do that. I got my two before you can get yours. If you take, I'm gonna get that and I can check you, and I've got them X-rayed. So I went ahead and moved mine in. She moved hers in. That was her only hope of avoiding an instant or a quick mate, was to capture there, but she would have made it anyway. So she did that. So I checked, and I wasn't obsessed about recapturing now. I mean, the point was, once I did this, I kind of knew I had her. So anyway, so she did that. So I put her in check. She moved there. I put her in check again. And as long as I'm the one that's putting her in check can't be captured, I'm fine. She withdrew there. I put her in check that way. She withdrew there, and that allowed for a mate in the middle of the board. But mate was coming with the two queens, and we both had to end up with two queens, but that ended up being a mate on her. So 53 moves. The swings and the swings at the end game, for I'd say under 1,000, under 1,200. I don't know. Some of those were iffy, but if you go through, there were some horrible blunders. I had a 57% accuracy. She had 51%. Let's see. I already did a review on it. Not sure why it's not working on there now. Okay, so queen's pawn opening. So really, it was still an 11th move when this was a mistake. The capture there, they wanted me to do it this way. Pawn blunder. This was set up for a fork on the queen and and with the check, which is amazing. This is a great move. That didn't seem like a great move, but it was one. Apparently, capturing that pawn. Sometimes when the opponent blunders a lot, it shows a great move is not. That was a blunder, because going forward was the way to go. Now this was the big blunder. I mean, this was the biggest blunder, because the game right now was I had blundered one piece away, I believe. But this I blundered two on one move. So moving this rook over. And then here we get into the late game blunders. The end game, or the time to do this was there if I was going to do it. Not the next turn when she had it protected. And then this whole thing about not putting her in check was a blunder, trying this double pawn thing, which I thought would make it safer to get down there. So there's a lot of these blunders are that. And then that turned out finally to be a great move. And again, this blunder there. So, two great moves by both of us, 8 blunders by both of us. But for me, I think it was like 2 horrendous blunders, maybe 3 missed opportunities, and she had a few horrendous ones. It wasn't quite 8 blunders, but anyway, so that's the story of me beating M3GAN Bot on the second time I played her. Hope you found that entertaining or informative. And thanks for checking out my videos. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Have a good one.